Welcome along to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Harry Colley, and this is the instant match reaction to Everton nil, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2 at Molineux. Everton have exited the Carabao Cup, and I have had to take some time to compose myself. I'm sure many of you out there have as well. A deeply disappointing and slightly concerning exit in what many felt would have been a winnable cup tie. Wolves currently sitting bottom of the Premier League. They've lost all 5 of their opening games to the Premier League season. Meanwhile, despite Everton coming off the back of a 2-1 Merseyside derby defeat, would have felt marginally optimistic given the start to the season. Everything post that Leeds defeat on the opening day seeming somewhat positive. Obviously, the biggest disappointment aside from last weekend's derby performance was the 0-0 draw against Aston Villa, where many felt we could have won it. But, still coming into tonight's game feeling like it was more than winnable. It almost felt in many ways a must win for David Moyes and his side, given that Wolves' form was in stark contrast to our own, but equally because Everton are 30 plus years at this point without a trophy, and Everton have 2 trophies to contend for realistically this season, one of them being the Carabao Cup, the other being the FA Cup. And it's finished 2-0 Everton away. The big talking point, of course, in this video, in our match reaction, is the change to the side. 7 changes for Everton, 9 for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Everton's changes, obviously Mark Travers in goal for Jordan Pickford, that one to be expected. He kept relatively the same back line: O'Brien, Tarkowski, Keane, Seamus Coleman coming in as a makeshift left back in the place of Mykolenko, or preferred to rather, I should say, Mykolenko, James Garner, Adam Asnou. Garner playing in midfield with Tim Irabunum, resting Idrissa Gana-Gueye, and then a completely changed front four. Arguably Everton's biggest threat this season has been that front three of Ndiaye, Grealish and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall sitting behind and alternating Barry and Beto. Instead, we had the debut, or the first start, I should say, of Tyler Dibbling, Antonin Alcaraz. Jesus, that's how bad it's got tonight. Carlos Alcaraz and Dwight McNeil sitting behind Barry. Now, I think it's important to talk about the changes because we did anticipate some level of rotation. I think in the lead up to this one, we maybe talked about, well, I think Travis was a given. He's very much come in as Everton's cup goalkeeper. We thought maybe we'd see a Tyler Dibbling tonight, and I think we maybe thought we'd see an Alcaraz as well, just given that Alcaraz played in the first round of the cup for Everton and just looked quite strong, and maybe that's sort of his role this season as well. And I think many of us expected to see Barry instead of Beto. I think Beto had a pretty poor showing in that first half against Liverpool, but I don't think many of us expected 7 changes. I think many of us have been left very frustrated with that lineup, and it's proven. So David Moyes goes ahead and makes 2 double substitutions, 2 at half time and 2 sort of at the hour mark in this game, trying to change things, but effectively just puts us back to where he would have set us up for the game against Liverpool or for a regular Premier League game. We saw the introduction of Beto coming on for Barry at half-time, alongside, it was Alcaraz that came off and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall that came on. And then really the game didn't change until the hour mark, when he brought Grealish and Ndiaye on for Dibbling and McNeil. I want to say I think Alcaraz and Dibbling were unlucky tonight. I think any other night they would have probably had a full game, and probably if Grealish had been in there, if there'd have been just a little bit more, I guess it may be in midfield. I don't quite know where we needed to get a foothold in this game, but ultimately I think a congratulations does go out to David Moyes, because we've said for a very long time that Everton fan bases are incredibly hard to unite behind one singular opinion, and I think we've all been united tonight alongside the opinion that this was the wrong starting 11 for this game, for a man who said that he wants to go on cup runs, that he wants to prioritise bringing kind of silverware to Everton Football Club. He has really shot himself in the foot tonight. And I talked a lot last season about this David Moyes return, with the fans being on somewhat of a knife edge. When it goes well, it's great. When it doesn't, it's frustrating. I think this season we have settled more into the narrative of, oh, okay, this is what David Moyes' Everton looks like. You can see what he's trying to do. Give him time, be patient. Don't let one or two bad results kind of sour the season. This is a hard one to take because it's a cup game. I think in the league, if we'd have, lost the Villa game and then lost the Liverpool game, we'd have been looking at it and kind of saying, okay, don't let one or two results sour the season. The reality is the cups are one and done, and Everton are out now, and that's one less cup competition to focus on. And it's a bit of a worry, really. I saw there was lots of people engaging tonight on the live sort of tweet along of the game, and someone said at full time, West Ham is 6 days away. Everton's next game is Monday night, where we play West Ham at the Hill Dickinson Stadium against David Moyes' former team. 6 days away. It's not a Thursday and playing on a Saturday lunchtime. It's not a Thursday playing on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's Monday night football. Everton have lost in the Carabao Cup on Tuesday night, and it's 6 days. So you're telling me that Grealish couldn't play tonight from the start, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall couldn't play tonight from the start, and Jai couldn't play from the start tonight, that Idrissa Gana-Gueye couldn't have played the first 45, that we've had to put Seamus Coleman at left back and not Mykolenko. I just think, for me, the only two changes in that starting 11 that probably should have stood, given wanting to take the cup seriously, were Trafford, because he's a Premier League proven goalkeeper, and Barry, because we've seen Barry and Beto alternate this season. So the game itself is pretty irrelevant. Wolves scored a goal in the first half. It was a chance, or a half of very few chances. Michael Keane, Everton's biggest creative outlet, biggest goal threat in the very few chances that Everton had in that first half. Second half, Everton plays so much better when Grealish comes on, when Njai comes on. The fact that Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall was on at half-time, that three behind the striker, frustrating Wolves, causing chances for Everton, Wolves having to double up on Grealish, Wolves having to double up on Njai. It just creates so much more space and freedom for Everton. And you saw then a Wolves side that look like the side that are 20th in the league and haven't won a league game all season. But until that point, Everton looked as bad, if not worse. And that's what's frustrating. The fact that David Moyes had to kind of almost hold his hands up with the substitutions that he made and acknowledge that these are the players that changed the game, that then validate this feeling that a lot of us are feeling right now, which is, well, why didn't you start them, given that the next competitive fixture is 6 days away? So yeah, Everton get caught on the break. It ends 2-0. I don't think 2-0 is a fair scoreline, to be perfectly honest, because I don't think Wolves were that good. But they took their chances. Their changes stepped up. David Moyes has got a squad there that there's a fair few players there that are passengers in that side, absolute passengers. Dwight McNeil looks like a player who is off in January, or certainly doesn't want to be playing football at Everton Football Club. Tim Irabunam, I'm not going to come on here and start creating scapegoats for that performance, because this is 100% on the manager. But Tim Irabunam should have been out on loan. For me, Harrison Armstrong should have stayed, or they should have gone and got another central midfielder alongside Merlin Roll. Irabunam should not be at Everton Football Club right now. He should be out on loan somewhere or playing his football elsewhere. I don't think he adds a great deal to that Everton side. He's got far too many appearances for a player of his standard, and his effort in the second half, where he had a shot, if you can call it that, and seemingly injured himself, would suggest he's not at the level of where Everton want to be playing their football. And I think really we're sort of seeing an interesting one with Seamus Coleman. It feels a bit like a vanity project for David Moyes, that Seamus Coleman, can't have Leighton Baines out there, so he'll have Seamus Coleman out there. I don't think Coleman was one of the bad performers tonight, but Seamus Coleman having to play left back in 2025 in a cup game for Everton, a winnable cup game for Everton, is an issue. It's a problem. And the fact that, Mikolenko comes on the fifth and final substitution, that Adam Asnou's not getting a look in at the moment. And okay, injuries aside, or not Premier League proven aside, whatever, however you want to frame it, for Seamus Coleman to be the go-to choice at that position. Yeah. So David Moyes said he can't fix everything in one transfer window, and it's shown tonight because the rotations for David Moyes that he picked hasn't worked. Everton have exited the cup 2-0 away to a very disjointed and despondent Wolverhampton Wanderers, who progress. And yeah, we now turn our attention to Everton back at home, playing West Ham in the league, looking to pick up their first win now in 4 games in all competitions, after the draw with Aston Villa, after the defeats to Liverpool, and now the cup exit to Wolves. And we're hoping that he keeps that back line behind the striker fit. And I think Everton are possibly going to have to go into the market for a striker on loan in January, because Barry, again, not his fault, looked very frustrating and frustrated at times in this game. He had to come off at half-time. He got booked for kicking the ball away after it had already gone out of play, which was just very silly, showed a lot of naivety. Beto coming on didn't look much better, and I think that maybe is a sign to David Moyes that if there's a striker looking for minutes ahead of the World Cup and needs a loan move, that Everton Football Club is the place for that player to be, because Everton need a goal scorer, really. They've got one of the best creative 3 sitting behind a striker that this football club has had in many years, and they don't have the outlet up top. So that has to change. And again, we'll go into transfer discussions, I'm sure, as we get nearer to January. Right now, we've got a few months of what we've got. And the first 11 of what we've got is decent and playing good football. That 11 that played tonight, no chance. It looked like a Sean Dyche 11. So there we have it. Wolves 2, Everton 0. Your instant match reaction turned into somewhat of a rant. David Moyes, that one is 100% on you. How are you feeling, Blues? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'm Harry. I'll see you on another video very soon. Up the Toffees.